It is Monday, January 22nd, and the Splash Zone is back in your life. I am Matt Modi with my 4 favorite NBA player props for today's NBA betting slate. Before I can give you today's picks, I got to do a recap from yesterday, which was fine. I gave out 3 picks. One of them ended up not playing, Fred VanVleet. Between the 2 that did play, I split the slate. I got one right and I got one wrong, but thanks to the plus money odds, I did end the day with some profit, up 0.14 units. Not breaking the bank by any means, but we will never apologize for a profitable day. A little bit of a tough beat on Jamal Murray. I had him over 7.5 assists. He had 5 halfway through the second quarter, had 5 still at halftime. I thought that I was going to cruise to an easy W, but he only had 2 in the second half, so we end the day getting hooked with Jamal Murray ending with 7 assists. But we did cash Bradley Beal over scoring 20 plus points, I believe it was. That was for plus 114 odds. And if you follow me on Twitter, I laddered Bradley Beal up to 25 plus points as well for over plus 200 odds. And that also came through for us. So I will say I do tweet out some stuff that doesn't get put on YouTube. So I would recommend following me on Twitter for plays like that. On the entire year, very much having a successful year with these NBA plays. We are up 39.54 units on the year with these NBA player props with an ROI of 24.47%. We had a ridiculous hot streak last weekend. Not as hot since then, but still doing pretty well. And we've been on fire with the NFL. So I would recommend subscribing to my YouTube channel. NFL's been hot, NBA's been hot, and MLB season we gave out home run picks. The Dong Report, that was hot as well. Those dongs were hot. So I would recommend subscribing to my YouTube channel if you are not already. And then for this video, if you could like, comment, all that stuff does help me out. And let's get into today's pick. So the first play that we're going to go ahead and talk about here, this is in the Bucks versus Pistons game. Jaden Ivey over 20.5 points, minus 111 odds. This is at FanDuel. This is going to be my only non-plus money banger of the day, but I do like this play a lot. I like it as somewhat of a flip-flop method, fade recent results type of play, and it also is a pretty good matchup. But these two teams literally just played 2 days ago, and Ivy only scored 18 points. So that actually makes me want to bet the opposite of that and bet him to have a good game in this one. The 2 games prior to that, he was playing pretty well, scoring at 24 and 32 points in those 2 games. Again, before only having 18 against the Bucks. And I know the last matchup against the Bucks is when he went under, but in general, the Bucks are such a juicy matchup for guards that I'm not necessarily scared off just because Jaden Ivey went under the last game. I think he's going to have a good game in this one. The Bucks literally give up the most points per game to someone of Jaden Ivey's shooting profile, and the 4th most points per game to someone with Jaden Ivey's scoring profile. I know that might sound confusing. This is per Courtside Pal. Shooting profile and scoring profile, they're 2 different things. Shooting just takes into account where the player takes shots. It doesn't matter if they go in or not, just where he shoots, and then where the defense, how well they cover guys that shoot from that area. Scoring profile actually takes into account skill and whether the shots are going in or not. So if someone shoots a ton of threes, but they don't go in, that would show up on the shooting profile. That would not show up on the scoring profile. The dumbest down way I can describe it, shooting measures the types of shots the player takes. Scoring incorporates skill and the types of shot the player actually makes. Takes versus makes. Both are important to measure, and both show the Bucks as a very juicy matchup for these types of guards. Still going to have most likely no Cade Cunningham in this one. He's listed as doubtful. I'd be shocked if he plays. And in games that Cade misses or is off the court, Jaden Ivey has a usage rate that increases by 4.1%, which is the second highest usage rate increase without Cade on the Pistons. In the 6 games that Cade has missed, Jaden Ivey has gone over in 3 of those games. So while he's only going over in half, I do like the fact that he is consistently scoring and he's consistently playing minutes as well. In the 3 games he went under, he scored 19, 18, and 18 points. So yeah, that's still an under, but that's close, and it's showing that he's scoring well, and he's averaging over 32 minutes in those 6 games as well. I am personally going to ladder him up to 25 plus points as well. I was really debating taking that as my official play, but I decided to make it a little bit safer. The better value here was on the FanDuel play, but I am going to put a half unit on 25 plus. That's our first play. Next up, in the Celtics versus Mavericks game, I'm taking Kristaps Porzingis, 20 plus points, plus 110 odds at DraftKings. This one I worry might be a little bit square, because it's a revenge game for Porzingis. We'll get into that in a little bit, but more so because he's gone over this in 2 straight games. Especially last game, he had a really good game, scoring 32 points. With that said, he had gone under in the 3 games prior to this 2-game stretch and in 4 of 5. So yeah, the recent sample size suggests he's been going over, but if you look a little bit wider than that, it's not like he's been clearing the over or anything like that. And I do like this matchup for Porzingis. Yes, as I mentioned, it is a revenge spot. I don't put a ton of stock into narratives like that, especially this one. It's been over a year since he's been on the Mavericks. He's only played them once in his career, since he'd been traded, I should say, and he scored 24 points. So yeah, he did go over, but that was a different team. Not much you can take from there. The reason why I actually do like backing him tonight is this is a great matchup against the Mavericks for someone like Porzingis. Props.cash lists the Mavs as the 6th best matchup in the NBA for centers specifically. And on the year, the Mavs have given up the 6th most points to centers as well, which makes sense that those are aligned. Big men in general do score a lot on the Mavericks, especially big men who can shoot. So I like for Porzingis to stay hot after going over in his past 2 games. Let's make it 3 in a row. I also do like his 3-point prop as well. So this one I am officially going to take as a ladder play. 3+ made 3-pointers. You can get that at plus 280 at FanDuel. Just putting a half unit dart throw on that bad boy. I only track my official plays, but I do like giving out honorable mentions as well. Next up, 3rd pick in the Spurs versus 76ers game. Victor Wembanyama over 1.5 made 3-pointers. Plus 125 odds at BetRivers. And it's also offered at plus 124 at FanDuel. I'll be honest, I just don't understand these odds. I don't get why we're getting not only plus money, but kind of decent plus money at plus 125. Wemby has made 2+ 3-pointers in 8 of his last 10 games, 10 of his last 15, and on the entire year in 20 of 36. Now, of course, win percentage isn't everything, but it is something. And I was shocked to see the odds that we got at plus 125. It's a really, really good price. I also, unsurprisingly, I love this matchup for big men who can shoot against the Sixers. The Sixers do have a good defense, but one area in which they struggle is just, as I said, centers, big men who can shoot. I've targeted the Sixers multiple times in matchups like this. I targeted Porzingis against them. I targeted Vooch against them, and it's consistently come through for me. And it's all because of the way the Sixers defense is structured. They'll let big guys like Wemby fire away. The reason why Al Horford consistently kills the Sixers is because he's a big man who can shoot. You run Joel Embiid in a pick and pop. He doesn't like to guard the perimeter. He likes to stay under the basket. So you put whoever Joel Embiid is guarding, like I said, in a pick and roll. The point guard will go, and then Joel Embiid will generally leave the big man open to shoot, saying, fine, take those shots. And sometimes it works, sometimes it doesn't. What it does mean is that those players tend to get a decent amount of shots up against the Sixers, and they're generally high value looks because they're not guarded. There's only a handful of players that this applies to, of course, but Wemby is absolutely one of them who it applies to and who can take advantage of it. He just shoots a decent amount, which I love. In the past 10 games, he's averaging over 5 3-point attempts per game, and he's multiple games where he's attempted even 8. I wouldn't hate taking Wemby at 3+ as well because those odds are so juicy, but I'm just going to stick with the 1.5, and I have not locked in the 3+ yet. So I would say follow me on Twitter, and if I do end up taking it, I'll post something. As of right now, I'm just sticking with the official 1.5. Last play, 4th and final pick in the Hawks versus Kings game. Dejounte Murray, 10+ assists, plus 165 odds at FanDuel. For a final pick of the day, got to go with the spiciest pick of the day as well, at least from an odds perspective, not necessarily from a I have to sell you on it perspective. There are 2 reasons why I really, really like this play backing Dejounte Murray assist. Number 1, no Trae Young. He's going to be out for this game and for the foreseeable future with a concussion. And my guess here is that the more games that Trae Young misses, the higher you're going to see Dejounte Murray's assist over under. I think it's going to get up into the double digits without Trae Young. With Trae on the court, Dejounte Murray has an assist rate of 15.64%. With Trae off the court, that number literally doubles to 32.74%. That's a crazy difference in assist rate with Trae versus no Trae. Now, Trae's only missed 3 games this year. He generally does play a lot. In those 3 games, Dejounte Murray has 10, 9, and 11 assists. So the main line of this play is 8.5. He's cleared that in all 3. And the alt line that we are officially taking, he's gone in 2 of 3. In those 3 games, he's had the potential assists of 14, 16, and 20. That would be an average of 16 and 2/3, 16.67 potential assists per game. And that one put him at third in the NBA of all players who qualify in terms of potential assists, only behind Halliburton, and then funnily enough, behind Trae Young as well. This is also a very, very good matchup against the Kings. They give up the fourth most assists per game to someone of just Dejounte Murray's playmaking style. That's per Courtside Pal. And they give up the fifth most to someone of Trae Young's playmaking style as well. So even if Murray plays a little bit differently, a little bit more like Trae, even though he's not Trae, they're still a top 5 matchup regardless of how you slice it. And they've been getting crushed by point guards recently. Last game, TJ McConnell put up 10 against the Kings on an over-under of 8.5. That's exactly what we're hoping Murray can do. And then previously, Pat Bev, not known as a playmaking, assist racking up point guard, he had 7 on an over-under of 1.5, which is just silly. So I love backing Murray as a playmaker in this one without Trae. I think he's going to come through for us, cashing our fourth and final pick of the evening. And that's all we got. 4 plays for you guys to lock in. If you're not already, make sure to subscribe to my YouTube channel. Would appreciate if you could like the video, comment, all that good stuff. Appreciate everybody for watching, and have a good one.